It's Sam, and I'm speaking today only to serious students of astrology. So if you're not really a serious student of astrology, then it's best that you probably don't watch this video, because I am just going to be talking about going deeper with your studies, why someone would do that, how to overcome the difficulties of just sort of gathering information and snacking behavior. In fact, I'm going to talk a lot about that tendency. And I also have some great testimonials from some recent students and graduates that really reaffirm the things that I've been saying for a long time. I really have dedicated my life to teaching people at all levels how to do astrology well, how to get beyond just the curiosity phase and, oh, I'm interested in my chart, and oh, here's a fun little stimulating thing. It's fine if that's what you're doing, but I'm going to be talking a little more deeply in this video. Some of it's going to be kind of in your face, especially if that's what you're doing, and instead of getting mad at me or also being in this, oh, he's trying to sell me something mentality, just don't watch it, because frankly, I'm not trying to sell you something. If you want to learn more, I'm going to tell you about the course, but I also am, just going to be very honest about these things. But these courses are a way not only to learn astrology more deeply, but to know yourself more deeply, because that's what the teachings are actually for. It's not just some trick to kind of get stuff, or, oh, my personality is this and that. It works on that level, but in a very mundane level. Again, that's why I use the term snacking, because it works that way, just the way kind of snacking is, food. Snacking is kind of food. It's more like just stimulation. It's not really much nutrition in a bag of, potato chips or Doritos. All of the nutrition has been buried beneath a lot of preservatives and other stuff that's not really very healthy for you. And unfortunately, Vedic astrology is also getting in that same sort of mode. You might think that it's harmless, but not only is it not teaching you the truth about astrology, but it's actually teaching you a lot of bad things. I see so many people work themselves into a false state of not just wisdom or, thinking they know more than they know, but actually drawing all kinds of wrong conclusions about their life, about other people, based on a misunderstanding of astrology. So it's not just a kind of zero-sum game. Well, what's the harm? It's like saying, what's the harm in eating junk food? Well, it's not just that you're not getting nutrition, you're actually getting stuff that's harmful, or that can be harmful. So I made a graphic that really explains this, and it talks about snacking and the data gathering mentality that people are stuck in with astrology. And again, I call it snacking behavior. And in order to learn astrology correctly, you need to actually eat real food and focus your energy. And I use the analogy of digging a well. In order to dig a well, you need to dig one deep hole, not dig a bunch of shallow holes. And this is kind of what the snacking behavior and analogy lines up with. Because, again, imagine if you were trying to dig a well in your yard, and there was water, 100 feet down, but you just keep digging, 1-foot holes. And you dig, 50 1-foot holes, 100 1-foot holes. You're not getting any closer to the water. You're just messing up the yard and creating holes everywhere. And you're also, but more than that, you're not only getting nowhere closer to the well, but you're also forming a lot of conclusions based on this bad habit. And for example, that unfocused attempt winds up making you think, oh, this is so hard. It's so hard to, it's so hard to dig a well, when it's actually not, because you're not making progress. You're not even going deeper. Same thing with astrology. You wind up, oh, this is so hard. Why did this little shallow piece of information not teach me anything? There's so much to learn. It's just so difficult. And by the way, it's not. I know, my students know, and you're going to hear their words in a minute. But you wind up forming these ideas that astrology is so hard. Again, when you're doing it focused, you wind up thinking, look, that was easy. You wind up thinking, oh, this is easy, because that digestible piece that you just learned now is built upon with the next piece, and you're like, oh, this isn't so hard. I understand this, and you're comprehending what you're learning. You're not just coming at it from this weird perspective. So one of the things in my certification course is you start at the beginning using the right priority and then in the right sequence. So these structures of priority and sequence are built in. You have to start somewhere, and then something comes next, just like when you're digging a well or when you're doing anything. So when you're unfocused, you're thinking, oh, this is so hard. When you're focused, and plug into a system, that was pretty easy. I'm getting it. That's the next thing. The next thing that you learn when you're plugged into a system was you start to realize, wow, I'm making progress. And you notice it right away because you comprehend what you're learning, and then the next thing you learn builds on it, and you're like, I'm making progress here. I'm actually starting to understand this. I have a structure that organizes all of the information. I have frameworks that build that I can hang all of the information on. I'm making progress, and I can see how this works now. When you don't, you're not making any progress, and you're thinking, why am I not making any progress here? I'm just gathering a lot of data and information, and I'm more confused than I was when I started. This is the astrology analogy of the snacking behavior, right? It also winds up creating this idea that, you know what, none of this really works. You know, this astrologer says that, that one says that, but does this even really work? Like, or you wind up thinking, I'm too dumb, I can't figure it out. They're so smart, but I'm not. And you're not only thinking that the system doesn't work, but you're thinking maybe it's you, that you're the one who's deficient. And that's one of the biggest problems that comes when you're not plugged into a system and you're digging a lot of holes. You think it must be your fault that you're not making sense out of it. And it's not your fault. It's the fault that you're not plugged into a system. Now that I'm exposing you to a system, though, it's going to be your fault if you keep doing it. If you don't know that there's a system or there's something else possible, then maybe it's not your fault. But if you hear this and you explore what I'm offering you and you still continue to snack, then it's your fault. But what winds up happening when you have a good system is you realize, this is working really well. This system of Vedic astrology, or let's say of the course that you're in, is really working well. I have a system and it's working really well. Or maybe there's equipment there. And again, that's the analogy of having a good piece of equipment, like a well driller. That's what my certification course is like. Not only are you there, digging one hole, but instead of you by yourself with a shovel, which would be the analogy if you plugged into a good system, but you were by yourself. Like, you could read my book, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, or my other books. They lay out the system, but then you're still by yourself. When you plug into a course, that's like a machine. It's like a machine that I've built, like the truck that digs the well, and you just need to follow along. That's like the fast track. Again, that's what the certification course is. There's a structure, and there's even a machine and a system that you're just plugged into. Not to mention all these other people there helping you dig the hole and helping that machine work, which is the community that's built up around the certification course. And, so finally the last thing is you wind up being so confused at the end that you're like, I'm not even sure this ever works. If you use the well analogy, I'm not sure there's even water down there. Look, I've been digging holes forever. I've dug 100 holes. And let me tell you something, there's no water down there. That's what it sounds like to me when I hear people come and they want to argue with me on my videos about things, or the astrological version of that is all of these sidetrack diversion questions where people think they're asking a sensible question, and they're asking pretty much a nonsensical question based on all this misinformation. They've gathered a lot of information, and I know this, and I know this, and I know this, so why this, huh? Why isn't that? And the question is kind of silly, because they haven't really learned any of it. They have no casework, it's not connected to any system, it's just a lot of data, but that data is not connected to any knowledge or any wisdom. And so they don't even know that they don't even really know at this point if there's any water down there. They're just trying to sort of test it. Whereas again, once you plug into a system, you know that there's water down here. This is real. This actually works. And you understand how it works and why it's working. So again, this is the problem with the snacking behavior disconnected from any system or what have you. Even if you can make a good prediction or even if you understand something, it's not connected to anything deep. So you're not even really connected to the source. You don't even understand what it is you're doing or why you're doing it or why it's even working. So again, in the certification course, we start with that. We start with what it actually is and why it's working. And then we build it from there. Then you see the specifics of what's working. When you're just kind of going at it randomly, even if you manage to learn something, you're not even connected to what's real. You don't even know why it's working. And that water that you're looking for is the water of your soul's wisdom. This is why astrology needs to start with that connection to the truth, to that wise truth within you that is mirrored by the cosmos. The cosmos is that ocean of wisdom and love and joy and beauty that you are emulating. You're a drop in that ocean. And again, you need to start with all of these conceptual realities first, and then see how that concept filters down into all of these specific details. Once you learn it that way, then everything else, all the other information that you've gathered makes sense. Now again, like I said, this is for actual serious students, people who want to just keep snacking and learning that way. You can keep doing that, but for those who really want to learn, you should understand and not be confused about why you're not learning. You're not learning because of these things. Whether you study with me or study with someone else, you should study and learn properly, but you should certainly study in a course where it starts with this connection to all the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic wisdom that is the same in yoga and Ayurveda and all of those other courses. So here are the words of some people that have recently graduated from my course. Ann Kostian says, I'm a level 1 graduate. I've been studying Vedic astrology for many years on my own and also within a few other teachers, but the certification course finally put all the bits and pieces together for me. The course is very well structured and organized, easy to follow, and having an opportunity to be part of the community of like-minded people was a nice bonus. All in all, it was an enlightening experience. Sam is a brilliant teacher, and his dedication is such an inspiration. Thank you for that. Jana Bobo says, Sam is very detailed and thorough in this course. You get to learn the foundations of Vedic thought before delving into the planet signs and houses. He packs a lot of information into each lesson, so if you listen to them again, you'll pick up on something new. I highly recommend his course. You will not find something so straightforward and as well put together as this. And that's true. People come back. You have lifetime access to this. Lori Nelson said, I've tried to learn Vedic astrology before, but it wasn't until taking this course that it's finally making sense. The more I learn and the more I understand the depths and complexities of this subject, the more appreciation and gratitude I have that someone not only took the time to put everything together in such a comprehensible way, but also tirelessly puts it out there for anyone and everyone willing to listen. And literally anyone and everyone should. I hope the day will come when Vedic astrology is a mandatory subject. I don't see how anyone can really learn it and not be a more loving and compassionate human being, among other things. I'd say whatever reason you have for considering this course, stop considering and just do it. Courtney Hanna said, I'm a level 1 certification course June 2021 graduate. The course has been a game changer for me. It provides a lot of information, but more importantly, it shows exactly how it all works. So you can systematically apply what you learn to understand charts. Philosophical and super practical. Yes, both. Gino Graziano says, after spending many years looking at YouTube videos and websites trying to learn the basics of Vedic astrology on my own with limited success, I got serious about finding the right teacher and determined that Sam's Level 1 certification course was worth the adventure. There are so many important layers to this discipline for which Sam thoughtfully presents supporting concepts in a manner that is relatable and understandable. At the completion of this course, I'm comfortable looking at natal charts, the Vimshotri Dasha system, nakshatras, and hearing and understanding the language used by astrologers that once baffled me. Level 1 gives a fantastic foundation to the astrology, and Sam's platform allows for unlimited access to these courses for life. Make the investment. You'll not be disappointed with the knowledge you gain about yourself and Vedic astrology. So you hear the same things over and over again, but I'll read a few more. Tess Dahlgren says, there's just so much information out there. All the bits and pieces seem to float in and out of context when navigating the big ocean of knowledge. This course is a container in which you can start to build your astrology practice. Sam makes sure to never lose sight of the context. It's a true gift. Laura Prav said, I'm so glad that I made the decision to take this course. I have a background in Ayurveda and yoga and have studied Jyotish on my own for literally thousands and thousands of hours prior. But the way Sam explains and breaks down the information has made me feel much more confident in understanding this beautiful and complex science, while simultaneously and continually also humbling me in realizing that one can never be finished learning such an infinitely deep area of study. Whether or not you have a background in the Vedas already, I believe Sam's teachings are delivered in such a way that they are accessible to everyone, and you will undoubtedly greatly benefit you in your own practice. I highly recommend it. So you heard there a range of experiences from absolute beginners to people that have been studying off and on, to people that have just been gathering data. It's all the same thing. It's really connected to the truth, to the source of the wisdom. The final testimonial came from Debbie Carell, who I think really speaks for a lot of beginners. Here is her story. My level of knowledge upon beginning this course was basic at best. I'd watched some of Sam's videos and took a couple online classes, very third house as I was to come to learn. I didn't have a background in yoga or astrology, and so I was concerned if I knew enough to even begin. I'm sure others think about taking the class, have the same concerns, but I wanted to learn, and so I signed up. The modules really are laid out in a very straightforward way and sensible order. Skills and knowledge build upon each other. There are handouts to be printed for each module, and there are audio tapes that match the classes if you want to listen. The homework reinforces the skills, the forum lets you ask questions, and the monthly in-person calls with Sam are priceless in value. And so I studied, and I learned, and I progressed through the material, and my third house of interest turned into a fifth house of something to love and want to nourish. I didn't know any of this before I took the class, but now I do. As I progressed through the course, I noticed a few other things. I understood myself better. Why do I do what I do? I understand others better. Why do they do what they do? My confidence in myself, my ability to attain a new goal and dream, a future and a direction, all from this course. Then came the certification exam. It was very fair, yet a challenge, and really tested if one had learned the material. After completing the test, I felt a real sense of accomplishment, and then the moment of truth, and I can now say that I'm a graduate of Level 1 certification, and I can proceed to Level 2. If I can do it, you can too. Thank you, Sam, for this wonderful course and all the bonus material. I've learned and grown and look forward to the next chapter. So these are real words from people that just went through the course. Look, it's not offered that often. I do it a couple times a year. Now there are still some slots available if you want to get into it. Again, as you see on the page here, I offer 30-day money-back guarantee. People never take me up on it, but you could if you're really worried. I assume the risk because I know it's very transformative course of study, not just because of the astrology, but because, as Debbie said, you learn about yourself in ways that you never could. As other testimonials stated, that it's impossible to learn this and not become a more loving, compassionate, and wise human being, simply because these are the dharmic teachings that all the ancient people learned and knew, and it's really the knowledge that you're looking for in your life. We think we're looking for astrology, but we're actually looking for who am I and why am I here? And so again, when I see the snacking behavior and I see people just kind of stimulating themselves and being disconnected from that deeper source, I want to try to, help them and try to provide a way for you to go deeper. I want everyone to get the course, but whether you get it or not, it's not going to affect my life either way. It's for you. It's for you to learn this, and so that you can step into that beautiful cycle of love and consciousness and wisdom that you're meant to be in flow with. So if it's still available, because this is going up in social media and other places, there's a high likelihood that if you're watching this, even in a week from now, that the course is already closed. But if you're seeing this and you click the link and it's still available, go ahead and register, and we'll see you soon.